Okay, picture this, a tennis match that just refuses to end. I mean, it goes on for 3 straight days. A match where the players start hallucinating, the scoreboard literally breaks down, and the history books get a complete rewrite. Now, this isn't some movie script. This is the real story of what happened at Wimbledon back in 2010. 11 hours and 5 minutes. Just let that sink in. That's how long they were on the court. To give you some perspective, you could fly from New York to Tokyo and still have time left over. It is, by a ridiculously huge margin, the longest professional tennis match ever played.
So the big question is, how? How is that even possible? How does a normal game of tennis, something that usually wraps up in 2, maybe 3 hours, spiral into this epic, multi-day test of human endurance? Well, the answer is a kind of perfect storm of weird rules, the right players, and just pure stubborn willpower.
It really all begins with Wimbledon's very traditional, almost old-fashioned rulebook. There was one rule in particular that basically set the stage for the chaos that was about to happen.
So in pretty much every other tennis match, if the final set is tied at 6 games all, you play a quick tiebreaker to decide it. Simple. But not at Wimbledon in 2010. Oh no, the final set had no tiebreak. You just had to keep playing until somebody, anybody, managed to win by 2 clear games. So it could be 8-6 or 15-13 or 50-48. Theoretically, it could just go on forever.
And then you have the 2 guys who walked right into this trap. On one side of the net, you've got John Isner, this 6'10" American giant with a serve that was just colossal, almost impossible to return. And on the other side, Nicolas Mahut, a French player known for being incredibly resilient, a guy who could get to any ball. It was a classic unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. So the stage was set, right? You've got this endless rule and 2 opponents who are perfectly matched to exploit it. Let's dig into how this totally standard first-round match turned into an absolute legend, day by grueling day. On day 1, things start off normal. They split the first 4 sets, nothing to see here, but then the 5th set began, and they just kept holding serve, game after game after game. They eventually had to stop because it got too dark, with the score at an absolutely insane 59-all. They come back for day 2, play for another 7 hours straight, and again, darkness forces them to stop. This time, the score is 68-all. This is one of my favorite parts of the story. The match went on for so long that it literally broke Wimbledon. The electronic scoreboards on court 18 just weren't designed for scores this high. They totally froze at 47-47 and had to be reset. It was this surreal moment where everyone realized they were in completely uncharted territory. In total, they played 183 games. To put that in perspective, a really long 5-set match might have, 50 or 60 games? This one match was basically like playing 3 or 4 regular matches, all back-to-back, with no rest. It's just mind-boggling. So why did it go on for so long? What was the secret? Well, it all came down to the serve. Isner hit 113 aces. That's a serve the other guy can't even touch. Mahut hit 103 of his own. Together, that's the greatest serving performance in tennis history, and it was the engine that powered this endless stalemate. After playing for 7 solid hours on day 2, somebody asked John Isner how he was feeling. His response was this incredible understatement. "I'm a little tired." I mean, it just perfectly captured the dazed, almost dreamlike state these guys were in. The physical toll was just becoming unimaginable. But it wasn't just physical. The mental agony was off the charts. Nicolas Mahut later admitted that at some points during that second day, he was so exhausted that he started seeing things, actually hallucinating on the court. They were pushing way, way past the known limits of human fatigue. And that brings us to day 3. By now, the whole world was watching. Little Court 18 was absolutely packed. Everyone there knew this has to end today. After 11 hours of a complete deadlock, something had to give. And it did. After about another hour of play, with the score at 69-68 in his favor, John Isner smacked a forehand winner down the line. He'd finally done it. He'd broken Mahut's serve. The final set score was 70-68. The marathon was finally over. The immediate reaction was just pure, raw emotion. Isner just collapsed onto the grass, totally spent. But the real defining moment was this long embrace at the net between these 2 men, now forever linked by this crazy ordeal.
The moment was so historic that Wimbledon actually held a special award ceremony right there on the court, just to honor both of them. But the story doesn't end there, not at all. A match this extreme doesn't just fade into memory. It leaves a permanent mark on the sport. And its legacy is, in its own way, just as unbelievable as the match itself.
So what was the price of this historic victory? Well, John Isner had to play his second-round match less than 24 hours later. He was, as you can imagine, physically and mentally shattered. He lost in just over an hour, barely able to move. It really proved that winning a match like this makes it impossible to actually keep playing in the tournament.
This, of course, sparked a huge debate. On the one hand, yeah, the drama was incredible. It brought so much global attention to tennis. But on the other hand, the physical toll on the players was dangerous, it completely wrecked the tournament schedule, and it was just fundamentally unfair to the winner. Was all that spectacle really worth the cost? Well, that debate led to real, direct action. The Isner-Mahut match was the trigger. First, Wimbledon put in a tiebreak, but only at 12 games all as a sort of safety net. Then, in 2022, all 4 major tournaments got together and created one unified rule, a final set tiebreak at 6-6. The people in charge of the sport basically said, never again. And because of that massive rule change, all the records set in this one match, 11 hours and 5 minutes, 183 games, 113 aces from one player, are now considered completely unbreakable. They're like a monument to a specific moment in time, to a rule that doesn't exist anymore, and to 2 athletes who pushed that rule to its absolute logical extreme. In the end, this was so much more than just a tennis match, wasn't it? It was a real-world experiment that pushed 2 people to their absolute breaking points, and then a little bit further. And it leaves us with this really fascinating question to think about. What are the true limits of what the human body and mind can actually endure?